flow got market. It got market.
What's going on, guys? It's your favorite mortgage lender, Abdel Khawatmi, Got Mortgages, coming at you guys with another episode of the Got Mortgages podcast. And we have got a very special guest, my friend Ellie, also known as Ellie Dream Portraits. Ellie is somebody that I have met a couple years ago. We have grown very, very close, seeing the various different wide network of colleagues and friends that we have gotten to know over the years. She is a master networker, but most importantly, somebody who likes to bring a picture to life. I think you guys are going to love our conversation where we talk about the art of traveling, networking, and my favorite, branding. Make sure you guys tune in, and this is another episode of the Got Mortgages podcast. What's going on, guys? It's your favorite mortgage lender, Abdel Khawatmi, Got Mortgages, coming at you guys live with another episode of the Got Mortgages podcast. And we have my very good friend, Ellie. Ellie, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the drive.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I want to dive right into it. It's such a small world, right? When we first met, I'll probably say it's been over a year and change, right?
I think it's even more than that.
And you had actually stopped by our office in Eatontown.
Yes.
For one of our Elevate Alliance meetings. It's crazy how time flies. But you want to introduce yourself to everybody and let everybody know who you are?
I'm a contemporary portrait artist, capturing what makes the family unique and preserving their values on the walls of their home, customizing it to the interior design of their home, where each portrait becomes visual branding, similarly as branding serves the business professionals.
Yes.
And I help, just as you help families find the right home and to be able to actually get it, I help them preserve that story for generations.
And your pictures, I remember when, we're in a networking group together formally, and I remember some of the pictures that you had up on your presentation. And I mean, they were, you've said this to me before, but it feels like you want the person who's looking at the picture to be immersed in the picture as well, as if they were there, right?
100%. Yes, that's the feeling we want to evoke every single time.
Now, photography is always something that I think is, you don't wake up in second grade, like I say in mortgages, right? And you say you want to become, or maybe you do. Did you always have a personal knack of looking to get into that field?
Yes, it's funny how when you look back, certain threads start appearing on the surface and you identify those patterns from early on.
Sure.
So when it comes to photography, people usually ask me, how long have you been doing this? And I've been with the camera since I was 10.
Wow.
So when I look back, I realized that I used to have that itsy-bitsy little toy camera when most of kids my age were still jumping the Polaroids. No, we didn't have Polaroids. They were just doing jump ropes.
Oh, got it.
And I had that little camera that was dividing every single shot into two. So for the same film of 36 shots, I would get 72.
Nice.
Imagine that for a teenager. And then also I grew up with my stepmom who had a projector back at home. Again, as I said, those things started adding up eventually. So being a stepkid, I could get away with a murder. So while my brother and sister would go to bed, two of us, like two teenagers, would just sit down and develop those images and see them come through the chemicals and hang them in a bathtub and just enlarge and bring them closer and further away. And so taking both sides of the photography in, enjoying the actual creation process and the fun that's behind it, and seeing what impact it makes depending on the decisions we bring to the table.
I love
So it's
that.
been a long story.
And it's funny, even your storytelling, right? You start immersing yourself into it too. Where I remember being a kid, where it was like back then, obviously there was no digital, there was no USBs, there was no cameras like now with memory cards, where we used to have the Polaroids, and my parents used to go to like CVS or Walgreens and drop it off. And I still remember the old school where it was like you'd have to put it against the light, right? The
Yeah.
negatives to see the pictures and stuff. Now, where do you normally shoot, your video and stuff?
First of all, I try to avoid shooting anybody because
Yes.
I am an extremely violent business. Um, I shoot people for living, cut their heads out, and hang them on the wall.
Yes.
So I tend to photograph people either in my studio or on location. So my specialty is actually mixed media portraits. It means most of them start photographically. This way, when you look at those portraits, the people's expressions are authentic. But then I finish them up by actually painting each and every one of them to look like the masterpieces that we're used to seeing in those museums and special galleries. The difference is when we look at those old portraits, people usually look bored to death
Sure.
because they needed to sit in front of the artist for hours and hours. And with the blessing of today's technology, we can take any special moment and turn
Yes.
it into the memory on the wall.
Yes, and I love that you brought that up because I was always thinking, how do I ask this? Obviously, today's day and age, technology is changing. Everything is innovating. You've been doing it from 10 years old, right? What's obviously your thought process now with AI and technology and all that stuff? You knew it was coming.
I love it. I'm glad because one of the things I would love to dive in. We diverged in the whole world of family
Yes.
portraiture, but just like the family, the portrait becomes the brand of that family. Every professional needs to make sure that his own branding is right on the money. And you mentioned the emergence of the new technologies and
Yes.
AI. It's the same revolution we had when we had digital as opposed to film cameras.
Yes.
And people take it exactly with the same level of disdain, with the same level of awe and fascination, and at the same time, complete lack understanding of what's coming along with it.
Sure.
So it brings all those things that were previously available only to select few to the fingertips of anybody, whether it is our phone, whether it is the AI technology, whether it is writing something, posting, or creating. Anything your mind can think of now can come to life, which makes a world of difference.
Sure.
And the challenge along with it comes with that taste. And I think it comes back to the earlier topic that you and I thought we would dive into. It's branding.
Yes.
Where is that fine line in the world of fake, in the whole world of fake that we are surrounded with,
Yes.
that brings the true authenticity and the real that people actually learn, still really good at identifying and trusting down the road.
It's interesting that you say that because, you know me, I'm as modern technology as it gets. And it's finding a true balance from a consumer experience perspective to not being the same type of, let's call it, larger organizations that you're competing against. And our whole spin over really the last year and a half is the technology is meant to help amplify us. It's meant to put us in many different circumstances, but it's not meant to wait that belly to belly, face to face conversation, right? And you and I have talked so much about this, and I've shared this in prior podcasts before, right? When we think about branding, I'm a big abbreviations guy, where like the B stands for belief, the R stands for relevance, A stands for analytical, N stands for just notice. People need to notice you, and then the D stands for just discipline, right?
Wow. Okay, I'm going to
You know,
steal that.
yes.
I'm going to use it for every time I talk to a client. This is so brilliant. I love how
And
you
it's-
defined it.
So that's that acronym, right, for branding. That has been something that, we thought of. Again, I always think of these words. So like the 3 F's, follow up, follow through, follow back. When we last spoke, APB, automate, predict, build. The 3 R's, retain, recruit, revenue.
Brilliant.
But branding was always something I always thought was important, right? It's the memory, to your point, right? The memory that people leave off with.
Oh my God, yes. Jeff Bezos has that quote that branding, it's not tchotchkes. As much as they are exciting, it's not just logo on a pan. It's the feeling that people have about you when you're not in the room.
Yes, 100%. And I think that's the most critical part that I have seen, where people remember us, right? And I hate this saying, right? They need to know you, like you, and trust you.
Yes.
It's true, but it really is leaving that lasting impression, right?
100%.
Where, for me, it's the gorilla, which is why the gorilla is everywhere in our brand, and people remember that. And I think it becomes a point too where you really end up being authentic to yourself too, where sometimes I even think instead of it being analytical in that it's also authenticity. The reason why I replaced authenticity with analytical is you and I can both attest, I'm sure, maybe the way you used to shoot, I keep saying shoot, photograph, individuals and people, you probably saw like a higher ROI or request for people with a certain way versus another way, and then things like that. So I always tell that to our teammates too, where if you guys are doing content or if you guys are talking to a professional or whatever it is do you know the numbers and the KPIs that are going to bring you that much success, where you could double down on that and maybe not put too much energy into something that you think you're doing really well, but then you look back and you're like, wait, I actually only got X amount of closings from here, or this amount of business from here, right? So how did you help? So one, I love your brand, right? I love the logo. I love everything about it. I think it brings the authenticity part to it. How did you identify that, okay, this is what I want people to remember me by Ellie Dream, right? What kind of made you hone in on that, and how's that working for your business?
That's a tricky question. That's interesting. I think it evolves over process, over time, and it keeps changing. And I have this thick of a packet of materials to throw out because they no longer apply.
Yes.
And I can't say they were wrong. It's just a transformation that takes place at every stage of the game, both for ourselves as we evolve, as our businesses do, as our brands, and as the world around does changes.
Yes.
Just as you said, the technology affects how we think, how we perceive things, what's happening around us. Things that used to work back in the 50s, things that used to work back 3 months ago
It's true.
are no longer relevant.
Yes.
The kids today don't even understand certain things. And putting branding on a DVD that a customer gets, and then kids say, what is a DVD?
And I think you and I spoke on that, if I recall, where it was like not being a fan, to an extent, of like digital copies of images, but rather having them in the actual portrait that you could put on the wall.
Yes,
right.
right. When it comes to family portraiture, if there is a fire in a house, once the kids and pets are out, what do the families reach for?
Sure.
Not that computer, not that DVD. Hell no. They
Portraits
run
of
in
the
for
kids.
those portraits,
Yes.
for those albums, for those, whether it's wedding ones, particularly if it's their little ones, if it's their
Yes.
family, something that reminds them of the special moments they had together. That still comes through first.
Yes.
And unfortunately, all the digital content is not archival. We are, in a way, with all the wealth of this information, heading towards the medieval ages, because in case that big computer goes down, everything that is on it, and when people tell me like, oh my God, I backed it up to the cloud, great. What if the cloud goes down? Or what
Yes.
if it doesn't load? The number of people who reach out back to me and say, you know what, it no longer loads because it becomes corrupted over time.
Sure.
But let's come back to the branding aspect, because I really love the abbreviation that you did and the emphasis that you put on the emotional part. People, as much as they are thinking that we are rational human beings,
Yeah.
still buy emotionally, make their decisions emotionally, whether that's purchase of a home. That's why when it comes to branding, it's that trust that you establish with your clients
Yes.
and that unique aspect of relationship that you are so good at developing that makes more, that will be more important to them than even a better price after all.
Yeah, it's true. It's we like to relate with the clients. It's all about empathy. And that's where I think the digital age will never have the ability to do.
No.
Right. Where we have a client who unfortunately just got divorced.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emotions involved. Or you have a client who unfortunately just lost their significant other to an illness. And we've tested it, and I'm a big driver of AI, and I've seen the we use the voice AI, the text AI. First of all, setting it up to make sure it's compliant with TCPA laws is a pain in the butt in itself. But we've literally seen conversations where we've tested it where it said, my spouse just passed away, and I really need to refinance. And the first thing is, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, can you tell me what is your last 4 of your social so I could pull your credit?
Right.
Because it is innovating, just like we talked earlier, but I think in that world, it will never have the ability to replace us, just like I would say in many professions, including yours, right, where you can't get that emotion to pour in, whether it's through a portrait or whether it's through a loan or any of that aspects. So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about, obviously, networking.
Oh, yes, please.
Which is how we met, which is how
Right.
our relationships continue to foster. How at one point in your life, from a 10-year-old, girl, at what point were you like, networking was something, I know you're a very personable person, so I think it comes natural. But at what point were you like, okay, this is something that started off with I need to do it, but now I can confidently say you enjoy doing it, right?
This is brilliant.
So tell me a little bit more about how networking transitioned into your business and the impact that it has into your business.
I was hiding behind my camera and my computer for the
Yes.
longest time. I still would rather sit. I would rather run around with my camera when somebody says like, "Oh, you have a day. You can have it calm and nice and relaxing." I'm like, "What do you mean? How about we fill the room with people and I run around and photograph them all day long and I don't have to eat, drink, or sleep because that fills me to the brim." It's photographers and musicians are the only two, no offense, but probably the only two professions who are ridiculous to ask what they like to do for fun. Because if I ask a photographer, they usually raise the eyebrow and say like, "What do you mean for fun? Like, what do I photograph when I'm not getting paid?" Yes,
It's true.
exactly. And same thing goes for musicians. No matter how long the concert was, how tired they are at the end of the day, they go back, pull the instrument out, and just go for another round. So networking was never part of that world or that picture. And if it wasn't for the war with Ukraine, when I was running, I'm originally from Ukraine.
Oh, interesting.
So I was running a fundraiser when it started. And a friend of mine, another photographer from Idaho, recommended me to actually go to BNI and share some more information about both the fundraiser that I do and all the work that we did back then to help families who were emigrating, moving around, and just trying to find any resources possible. We had a whole network that was like a second job all day long.
Sure.
And night long too, since they are in a different time frame. And when I came to BNI, that's when I realized what it actually can do for my business as well. And connecting with people, I realized that what I love about the work that I do, capturing what makes most important, preserving those values.
Sure.
Networking in a way accomplishes very similar objective if you are being authentic and true to it. If you are actually there, not just to try to get something for yourself, but genuinely help somebody,
It's true.
it becomes as rewarding and wonderful experience as you go along. And yes, it's the giver's gain concept of
Exactly.
that networking organization both of us belong to. The more you help, the better it comes back.
It's true. And to that point, right, it's many people, when it comes to networking, in my opinion, sometimes look at it as what is my return from it, almost either too quickly,
Right.
or whether they believe in it or don't believe in it or whatever. But I have actually found, over the years, some of my closest friends have initially originated from networking, right? Because you end up, just like they say, you end up working with the people that know you, like you, and trust you. And it's really true too, right? And I think I'm a firm believer in that, and I love that networking has played that impact, to you. And I appreciate you for introducing us to the group that we're a part of. It's definitely been an experience, and it's been one that we're certainly fostering at the same time. I think that's always the trickiest part too, is every relationship tends to, of course, be somewhat unique with each professional after you network. And I'm not one that likes to talk business when we network. I think those are reserved for more like intimate one-to-one sessions, but more getting to know the person. Like the holiday party that we did recently, you love that you can bring your significant other or what have you, where they get to see, who you spend your time with,
Right.
Where they get to see that stuff. And I think it really makes the experience that much more efficient and that much more tighter with them at the same time.
I agree. And I think it bringing out those values back into the table.
Yes.
That's exactly what both of us mentioned before. When you get to see whether that's the significant other, or how you treat them, or how those people interact,
Yes.
what actually matters most comes to the surface and either helps us identify with that, or it tells us something that
The
we exactly.
Yeah.
And it helps. And again, tell me who's your friend and they'll tell you who you are. It's the
Yes.
same thing.
Very true.
I always tell my kids, look how your friend or the girl you like, I have all boys, so the girl you like, look how she's treating her family. Because once you are one of her own, she'll treat you the same way.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Well, you mentioned your kids, and I know just like all of us, our kids are everything. I know one of them is on their way to college, right? So that's always fun to go through that
yes.
experience. But why I bring it up too is I know you, like me, love to travel.
Oh my
Right.
God, yes.
And I think you travel probably more than me, so I got to compete. But I'm sure photography also plays a role into that, because I'm going to imagine you're probably packing your clothes, and then the first thing or second thing that's going in there is probably your camera too, right?
It's the first thing.
Yeah.
And it's actually the heaviest part of
Sure.
our luggage. And that's the one that doesn't go to check-in. So as I'm parading through the airport and trying to look as unscrupulous
Yes.
with that sweet little girly bag that weighs more than I do, because I
Your
have to...
camera's in there.
Exactly. And then I have to pretend that it actually doesn't weigh my whole shoulder back down. That it's nice and light, like a regular cute little purse that the girls usually wearing.
Yeah.
And the fact that it just happens to be a little bit bigger. And so far it's been working, but I do have luckily a media pass that allows me to get away with
Oh, nice.
with the heavier luggage.
Sure.
But yes, no matter whether we're climbing a mountain or descending into the cave, I have
got
my
the camera.
huge and heavy camera by my side every single time, because it makes the whole experience for me more fun.
Totally. And traveling is always something that we have fun, right? We just took the kids not far, but we took them to Disney,
I love that.
which was
used
such
to go every year.
such an experience.
It is.
My son loved it, my daughter loved it, and then we did Universal, and then got some work done too, so that was fun. What is your favorite place to travel to?
New place.
Yeah.
Place I haven't seen. Something that is not familiar yet, and that's whether it is a hike in the familiar place that we have. They're all less travel.
Sure.
Something
love
like that. What about you?
Obviously I'm going to share the same sentiment as traveling differently. We do always enjoy to sneak away to a hot Caribbean place. So we've done, I mean, Cancun, Punta Cana, Maldives, Puerto Plata, the whole nine. We actually, as you usually plan your next vacation when you're still on vacation, right? That's my wife.
Is
Yes,
still there because you're still rolling in the same fashion.
totally. So we just got back recently, so now my wife is already like, where are we going again? And we have an internal promise to ourselves. She can let me work 24/7 as I usually do if we get to travel a minimum of 2 places a quarter.
I love that.
So last year we did about 13 trips.
Oh my God.
From domestic to international,
Wow.
which was fun to get away and stuff. And it's we've got an amazing team, so they're able to make sure that nothing skips a beat and do that. And it's awesome to see it too, because we always say we now travel vicariously through our children.
Yes.
Right. I think all of us generally did.
Yes, but I think it's more than that. It's as if you see. I remember that I was in Disney before I had kids, and
Yes.
it was a fabulous, fabulous experience. But when I came there with the kids, I was in tears because suddenly that whole place became magical in a totally new
Yes.
way. I was feeling it and seeing it in a totally different fashion than I did when it was me who was traveling there as a teen.
It was our first time. Well, my first time ever. My wife's, we've been together for 18 years, which is
Oh, wow.
crazy to say. But it was her first time, and maybe I think she went when she was 6, so almost 30 plus years.
Unbelievable.
But it was definitely an experience to be like, okay, this is what you always see on TV, or when you were a kid and you watched the movie, and all that stuff, and just seeing our kids go through that experience, or even when you're in the Caribbeans, and sometimes we went to I think it was September. We went to Dominican Republic in a place called Punta Rusia, which is not your typical Punta Cana, Puerto Plata touristy. It's actually on the other side of the island, and it was because my sister-in-law's boyfriend is from there, and his family has a house there. And I will never forget, of course, I'm working. I'll work on the beach all day, then work from home. But I'll tell you one thing, I'll never forget, and I see it in my face, like the wallpaper style, like scene, as if you're looking at a wallpaper with like the sun rising and the palm trees and then the sand and then the crystal blue water.
Unbelievable.
I think I love that about traveling. More than just the experience of it, it's being able to be immersed in there at the same time,
Right.
And take it from there. So
So, what makes travel particularly special
yes,
is what we learn on each and every one of those trips.
sure.
Every single time there is a special revelation. And I love that you brought out Disney, because one of the things that I love to do in Disney is learn how to be a better business.
Yes,
Since every single time there is a when you're going in Universal, all their rides are today head over heels better than many of the things that Disney developed.
it's pretty crazy.
Yes, it is. But Disney is not about rides.
No.
That's the thing. Many of their rides are ancient things that have been existing for years and years, and people keep coming back and doing it, like that Small World that will be in your head for the rest of the day the moment I mentioned it.
Very
And
true.
yet, I'm sure that you did your diligence on it, despite it doesn't have any of the digital amazing components that you probably have seen in the Harry Potter world. What Disney is so amazing at is creating this feeling of magic, as opposed to concentrating people on the rides, on the color of the dresses, on the number of princesses they actually met that day. And I
Yes.
think that's the biggest lesson that we can take out as we go in and look at it as a learning opportunity. How do we develop our brand and make sure that our customers leave with that special feeling, as opposed to concentrate on the tchotchkes and little details? So which revelation or learning aha moment was for you on this trip?
I mean, I would probably say, I'm a systems driven guy. I think it's really how they have everything so regimented. From the second you walk in, before you go on the ferry, there's a coffee place right there. So you're almost like somewhat obligated to buy a cup of coffee. Then you hop on the ferry, then you get there, and then obviously going through the streets of Main Street, right? And all the stores. And as much as I tell myself, I'm not going to get sucked into buying a sweater. I'm not going to spend money on merch. Of course, our Instagram feed, right, and algorithm and what have you was filled with Disney's, how to and whatnot and whatever.
Yeah.
But you said it yourself, right? You're immersed in the experience. So, one, it was a little cold too. So, and 50, 60 degrees in Florida is very different than 50, 60 degrees in Jersey.
Yeah.
50, 60 degrees, I'm in a tank top and shorts here in Jersey.
Right.
50,
Because it's
60
warm already.
Totally. In Florida, it was cold.
Yep.
Which I'm actually kind of thankful for because I don't do well in the heat, as I'm sure most of us. I also think it helped reduce the number of people that were there too.
Yeah, God bless.
But I think it's how they had everything so regimented.
Right.
And then I mean we did the Premier Pass Lightning, so we didn't really have to get stuck in lines because I'm as impatient as it gets.
And it's, you don't want to spend.
I love too that they had like, hey, we're gonna have a show at this time.
Right.
So, again, I'm very ChatGPT AI driven. So we had everything, like the whole itinerary planned out as to, like, we're going to do this ride, then we're going to do this ride, then we're going to do this.
Yep.
But it was my daughter's 18th birthday. It was my daughter's 14th birthday on the 18th.
Oh my God.
So we took her and did the Beauty and the Beast castle for dinner,
Right.
which was also such an experience. And again, like we said, we live through our children.
Yes.
But again, over there, it's essentially a prefixed menu. So they have even that, right? They have that set. And listen, it's a business in and of itself, but I think they find a perfect balance
Yes.
between that magic, right? And like the whole area is built around Disney.
Yes.
Right? Everything. I mean, from stores outside to inside to the different locations to now they have, Epcot, right? To different places. So, I'm usually a one and done type of person when you go on vacation. Like you and I said, what's our favorite place is the next one, the new one. This might be one that I might be okay with going again. Right? And I know some people go like all the time. I'm usually not like it. But this might be one that I might actually enjoy going to. I'm glad, to an extent, that we waited a little bit. There were a lot of parents that were there with young kids, and I think it's no cost for them at under 3 years old. From what I heard, I might be completely inaccurate.
No,
but
there is a cost.
But there's
'Cause they had
so many
little-
parents with young kids.
Yes, I've seen
And
like 3 months old.
my son is 6. And even he was getting a little like, all right, I think it's time to go. Right. And he was having
Right.
so much fun.
Yes.
But you get there at 8
Yeah.
and you're there till 10 o'clock at night after the
Right.
fireworks. I mean, it's a lot.
It is.
But it's definitely something I think I would go. But I think definitely how they had everything just so structured and so regimented and down to the
Systemized.
wire. That was certainly one of my my appreciative things amongst a million other things. But yeah.
I love that you noticed it. Yes, there is a system to every madness, but in this particular case, there is a system to make that magic work.
Yes. What does Ellie have coming into place for 2026? What is she most excited for heading into the year?
I would love to, in 2026, I want this to be the year of giving. I want this year to donate $250,000 in my services towards helping organizations that need help securing much needed funds,
Sure.
get what it is that they need for all the fabulous and amazing things so that people who are less fortunate than we are, who cannot afford, whether that's those experiences or portraits or special, I don't know, Sometimes people dream of the simplest little things, and I wish they could have them. I would love to help those organizations to make sure, whether it is a breast cancer research, to ensure that mom gets to enjoy it along with everybody else.
Sure.
And I've captured and created very special portraits for families whose moms are no longer around. And it is that special legacy that helps them feel empowered and loved even beyond that. So whether it is the organizations like one of the people in our networking,
Yes.
Judith is running, people with disabilities, or any other ones. So if you know an organization that needs help,
Absolutely.
I would love to collaborate.
I love that.
So that's one big goal that goes beyond personal monetary goals, beyond just personal growth and every single other ones that leads up to it. So every aspect of that will need to grow to be able to provide something that big.
Well, I love that. I think when we lead with service, God has a way to always make sure it comes back.
I
around.
love that.
So,
I love that.
well, appreciate you having on. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. That concludes another episode of the Got Mortgages podcast. Make sure, if you guys have not, to like, comment, and subscribe on our podcast. Ellie, if anybody is looking to find you online, what's the best way for them to do so?
Oh, excellent question. So my website is Ellie Dream Photo, but just as you and I were discussing it, the new one is going to be Ellie Dream Portraits. That another yet amazing professional in our midst, Robert Hazelrick, is finishing up.
Yes.
And as soon as it's ready, it's going to be fully transitioned. Until then, it's Ellie Dream Photo, Ellie Dream Portraits. You can find me at every platform.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.